Oh,
Oh
okay.
no, now
Now we're live. Now we're live. Okay, small little error. Hey everybody, welcome to the 10th call from 2015 for Team Relentless. We have one of my favorite people on, guest speaker Kim Lima, and she's going to be sharing with us how to really get your team going by making them feel special, and this really starts from challenge groups. So she's going to be also sharing how to keep your challenge groups alive. But before we get started, I had actually some topics I wanted to discuss because I feel that it's really important to our team and personally for our growth and to really help our mindset. A lot of this comes from I just returned from Dave Ramsey yesterday and a few things today. So one of the things that I wanted to go over first was that I guess I'll start off with the one piece of business. I saw somebody posted it in our group today, and this is going to be about some changes to our customer lead program. So a lot of you are Emerald rank or above, and up until this point, we qualified for customer leads, which means that we did not get commission off of the initial sale, and all you had to do was to be Emerald Coach to get this done. And if you wanted to get Success Club leads, which meant you make commission off the initial sale, you had to have been Emerald rank or higher and also have achieved Success Club. So I wanted to diffuse this before it actually really hits the streets because I have seen within the organization, and this isn't just Team Relentless, people who are constantly bad-mouthing everything that comes our way. And a lot of this, I think, just comes from fear of change and maybe struggling within your own business and feeling that Beachbody's out to make things hard on us, and that, you know, maybe I've heard even we have loyalty to our organization because of what it's done for me as a person, for the people on my team, and for my family and our future. And with Beachbody, if you have done any research into other network marketing companies or MLMs, the compensation plan and the programs there for the people that are affiliated with the organization are not as lucrative or benefit, not a lot of benefits for the people that are part of it. Beachbody does all of this, and you have to understand, and I'm going to go into a little bit of a story about a conversation I had with somebody about MLM today, is that they don't have to do this for us. They do it to help us and to help people that we help, our challengers, customers. Even the Success Club Lead Program and the Customer Lead Program is there to help us to grow our business, but it's not something that we can base the foundation of our success of our business on. And it's also there to help the customers so that they can succeed and get into a challenge group. And like I said, Kim's going to talk about that. So right there is like, they don't have to do this. They value people and they do the best for us. There's a lot of information that you don't realize, and I don't even realize, but I know from being an elite coach, sitting in elite, meetings they go into depth about what they're doing for us and the way they work for us. And there's a lot of people who don't get on the calls. They don't give the national wake-up call. They don't attend events. So these are the people who are usually complaining. So I want you to know that the best thing to do is to attend as many live events as you can. Tune into the national wake-up call. Tune into my call. Check the back office. See what our company's doing. They put a lot of time in it. And this is the thing that Carl's our CEO. Michael Neiman and Arnold and Jeff Hill and all these people who are, big parts of our organization, as well as the Coach Advisory Board, which are coaches just like you and I who come and are basically our mouthpiece, and they hear what we say, and so does Carl, and they really are very involved in it, so everything they do is for us. So, there's going to be some changes. Check the frequent asked questions section because it's going to be in there. So from now on, in order to qualify for customer leads, these are the leads you get as an Emerald ranked coach or higher, and you don't receive any commission off of it, you are connected with them to help them, you're going to have achieve Success Club as well. And in order to get the Success Club leads where you are getting the customer assigned to you as well as commission, you have to get Success Club 10. And I know there's a lot of people that are moaning and groaning and they're thinking, oh my God, that's so hard. But the thing is, the reason they did this was not to penalize you, not to really just necessarily even raise the stakes, but there are so many coaches out there who are coming right out the gate hitting Success Club, and our organization is growing. We still have a pretty small ratio of coaches to actually people, the population of the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. So you're not going to run out of people if you're doing what we teach you to do, what elite coaches teach you to do, what your upline teaches you to do, what corporate teaches us to do, and that is building relationships and stepping outside of our comfort zone. So, these are the things that they're running out of leads for the amount of people hitting Success Club. So in order for the people that are hitting Success Club not to moan and groan that they're not getting leads, they had to figure out what to do. So now they've had, stiffened the rules and made it so that the people who are working hard consistently are actually getting benefited. So this isn't like a favoritism towards elite coaches or towards Emerald or Ruby or, Diamond or Star Diamond coaches. This is a reward for the people who work for it and work hard and consistently. If this is a non-negotiable item and you go out and you use every day to be the person there that is consistently manifesting the 3 vital behaviors, you'll do this no problem. So I want to make sure that you all are aware that this is not a way to penalize or favor anybody. This is there because they're trying to make sure that the people who work for it get rewarded. And this is a good sign. There's growth there. We were all talking about in our elite group, and Kim, made some really good points about this, that it's all about your mindset. If you want to go in and you want to complain, you want to groan and moan about what's going on, and you think that beach bodies are to make your life, difficult, then the thing is you're not that, in tune with what we do as an organization. You're not aware of the hard work that they put in for us. And, that type of attitude that is manifested is going to be evident to others, and that will affect your success. So I want you to think about that. I wanted to just briefly talk about it. They're going to talk about it more. It's going to be the frequent asked questions section. But the point is, strive for Success Club 5 and 10 every month. Strive to keep recruiting. Strive to keep growing your challenge groups to find people that you could recruit to join your team. Teach people the value of Success Club. And with that being said, I was doing something, that I'm going to be offering to my personally sponsored coaches, and this is something that is duplicated from what my coach Becky's doing. So from now on, anytime a coach earns Success Club, I'm going to give you a point. If you hit Success Club consecutive months, you will get a prize from me. And Becky called this a rock star credit there. And so I'm going to do the same thing. If you're hitting Success Club consistently, I want to reward you. Beachbody, from corporate, they reward you, but I want to reward you because that means that you're actually doing what I teach you, which is what I have learned from other top coaches, which was what they have learned from corporate, and shared these systems to people, more efficient. So it's not my way. It is the Beachbody way. It is the way to be successful. I talk about this all the time. Allie Upham, Melissa McAllister, Caroline Van Zant, Tommy Migrant, Jason Diebold, my coach Becky, her sister Christina. These are the people that I've watched. I've watched them for years now, and you can go back and see their history before I even became a coach, and I've duplicated what they've done, and they're doing the same exact things that they were doing. They're just doing them better over time. So the thing is, this isn't something that you want to reinvent the wheel or do something your way or try to resist the way that you're taught by me, by Becky, by Christina, or whoever. You want to embrace these and go in with the attitude that you can do it, and you will do it. Don't question it. Don't compare yourself to somebody else. And this is one thing that I wanted to talk about too, is that if you have not listened to the call that was hosted last night for Diesel Nation, which is our upline, it's on Christina Delgado's YouTube channel. My husband and his daughter, Haley, went to Dave Ramsey's Smart Money seminar this evening back in Houston. They listened the whole way, and it was excellent information. It's something for you, because the thing is, this isn't that Kim or I or Becky or Christine or Tommy Migrant or any of those people I was saying that are more destined for success. They've just worked for it, and they've made the mental shift and the decision, and that they're going to do it, and they can do it, and they keep doing it. They don't sit there and question why things are done the way they are. They don't compare themselves or think that they're better or worse than anybody else. They compare, strategies and learn from one another, and they lift and build each other up. So I want to make sure that you understand how important that is. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was I went to the Entre Leadership yesterday in Houston. Ryan and I did, and they were talking about, this is about how to be a better leader, how to build relationships, and this goes in the workplace for people who are like CEOs of companies that were there, or people who are network marketing or self-employed and have employees of their own. And there was such great information there. I'm going to be rolling out. But the thing is, I watched, there was a lot of issues at the end of the year within the team. There's been a lot of disagreements and, hurt feelings and matters of opinion that didn't match with one another. And I really want to diffuse that and make sure that, everybody knows that we're all here together. And regardless of what team we're on, whether we're part of Diesel Nation or you're part of, Team Infinity, Team Fierce, ran out of all these names. Those are two that I remember. But no matter what you are, or the fact that we're with the Fit Union, the thing is we're all a team. And even if we go cross-line to Melissa McAllister's team or Fit and Funky, which Kim is part of with her team, the thing is we're all one big team. And that's one thing that I love about Team Beachbody is that, I talk about this all the time. If I was the new contractor starting up and there was a contractor in the community that was awesome, and I went to them and asked them for tips and help, the last thing that they would probably do is give me tips and help because they see me as a competitor. The great thing about our business and the opportunity we have is we work together as a team and we help one another, and we're not competition. We're not somebody stealing each other's customers. We're really there to work together. So I want to work on building team unity and fusing together. And the one thing that Dave Ramsey talked about yesterday is that there are 5 enemies of unity. And we're big on unity. If not, we wouldn't be called Team Beachbody. And we're always talking about team building, and I attended 2 leadership retreats from the corporate and 1 from Diesel Nation. And the big thing is unity. And so the thing is, regardless of matters of different opinion or anything, I want to work together on this. And one thing they said, there are 5 main enemies of unity. 1 is poor communication, 2, gossip, 3, unresolved disagreements, 4, lack shared purpose, and 5, sanction incompetence. And so one of the things they were talking about is like turnover in the workplace and all these different things that how to combat that. And kind of that's a little irrelevant in our thing because on this part of the call I will talk about it later on. But I did see it is that communication's a big problem. Well, if we need to learn to be open a lot more and talk about things together. And the biggest thing is I think we're pretty good at that because we share our vision, we talk about goals. So another way to strengthen that is to work on building relationships. And so if you're an Emerald Rank coach or higher, if you're on the call that I do once a month, we're going to be talking the last Tuesday of the month about the DISC implementation, which is another personality test that really focuses on relationships. It was so much easier to understand and implement. I spent $300 on this because I'm going to share it with the team. This isn't for me. This isn't just for my personally sponsored coaches. This is for the team, and I want to utilize it. So if you're an Emerald Rank coach or higher, please make sure that you do get on this call on the last Tuesday of the month. And if you become Emerald before then, you will be included on this. And then after that, you're going to see it being rolled out. The second thing is gossip. And I know that I'm part of it, and I see this all the time is that people vent, and we always preface it with we want to vent or certain things, and then it just becomes the focal point of a conversation, and there is no really good point to gossip. It's just it keeps people involved, it keeps them focusing on the negative, it creates bad blood, and it's something that can really rot away the unity of the team, and that's the last thing I want. So one thing they were talking about is some of these things, the gossip usually stems from an unresolved disagreement. And then, Dave Ramsey was talking about the fact that, a lot of people at the workplace, they say, oh, that's just normal. It happens when there's a bunch of women or something like that, or people are different. And it becomes tolerated. It is not tolerated at the Dave Ramsey organization, anyone in the business. You are warned one time about gossip, and after that, you are terminated. Of course, if you're part of Team Relentless, you cannot really be terminated because we're the CEO of our own business. I'm not your boss. But the thing is, I want to implement across the team is that I don't want to hear any gossip, and I'm not going to take part in any gossip. I'm not going to be the facilitator, the mediator of this, and I'm not going to be one to keep it going on either. And so I'm asking everybody to make sure that you use your words well, and you use your time and your conversation, your energy productively with the members of our team. And that should be implemented down to your downline as well. And this isn't my team versus your team. So I'm not going to be part of it. And so from now on, part of the communication and the disagreements, if you have better communication and better relationships with people, you'll be able to go to them with the problem, try to solve it. And the thing is, If there are problems within the team with one another and you don't know how to solve it, or you need a mediator where you're going in for a purpose, not just venting or gossiping, and you need my help, then by all means, I'm there. We become people's counselors. We become the leaders of our team, and I want everybody to have their, the shared purpose that we're talking about, and the vision to all go together and not get lost in amongst other things. So the thing is, if you need my help coming up with a solution, then I'm there. But let's all, as a team, have a zero tolerance and a policy for our team that there's not going to be anything but uplifting. So let's make sure that our words are uplifting, that we're uplifting everyone in the team. And I talked about this, in a group. The group post recently is that whenever somebody's welcoming a new coach in, let's make sure we welcome them in, not just our personally sponsored coaches or the people in our downline. Let's make sure that when we see posts on Facebook about other people's customers, other people's coaches, that we're joining in because we're all a team, and this is going to really get our unity back together. And then the last one was sanction and competence. And I really didn't know what that meant when he said that. But basically that, this one thing that Christina and Amy and Monica Lopez talked about on the recap of the call from when they came back from Tony Robbins, which I highly recommend you listen to, is that, people just become lackadaisical. They are fine being comfortable with mediocrity and, I hit emerald or I hit diamond, and that's the big part of the push that we're doing within Diesel Nation is that, I hit diamond, I'm good. They get comfortable, they just stay there, and there's no growth, there's no wanting to be better. So make sure that you are really not being comfortable with where you're at, because your team will show up and they will follow and duplicate what you do. I found when I had my highs or lows of depression, and when I have, taken a hiatus of working out or, certain things, people are like, oh, maybe he's doing it, I don't have to do that. And we are the leaders of our team. Again, it all goes down to choice. You make that choice, but people look up to us. And I know that Kim said one time when we were talking in, I don't know, one of our, I think, elite groups or diamond groups or something, that she was saying, when I'm on top of my game, I recruit like rock stars. But when I'm not feeling so good about myself, I get those type of people. So the thing is, remember that the vibes you put out are what people really see. So I just wanted to share that, because this is not coming from just me. This is coming from a very successful person who is helping train people about how to be leaders. And there was, it was a packed house tonight. Ryan's there at the Smart Money thing, and it's a packed house again. So my thing is, I seek out successful people, and I go there not arguing with what they say. I go in there saying, how can I implement this to make myself more successful and better? And so I share it with you because I want the same thing for you. Lastly, last night I got on a call that was done by Bob Aceto and Keith Callahan. They're actually in our upline. They're self-made millionaires through Beachbody within 2 years, and they really shared with us the best way to maximize your volume and get team growth so that you have, I think they said they had 500,000 accumulated team volume every month, if I heard right. It's crazy what they do, and they are rock stars. But they said for every business center you have, you make 6% off of every dollar. For your second business center, the amount goes to 12%. For 3 business centers, 18%. So my point is that get a business center open under you. Obviously, if you're a coach, you have that. Get your spouse as a coach and start working on building their business. That will increase you to 12%. Work on getting your first business center to 2-star, so you can sponsor another coach, which is yourself, and you open up your third business center. Then you're making 18% off the dollar. If you want information on that call, I haven't seen the recording. I've been gone all day at a health and wellness fair, but I'll get that if you want to listen to it, because it was excellent information. But one thing they talked about was getting your discount coaches who are scared to step out, and talk to them and say, well, why don't you refer 3 friends to me, and then you'll get your Shakeology for free. And so when people see that mindset, they're like, oh, I can do that. And then instead of enrolling them under you, their customers, enroll them under them and make them see how it is. So the same thing is, like, you don't have to change your opinion. You can just change your approach of how you present things so that you get your team to turn around. One thing they talked about was really, people, I think, focus on nothing but challenge packs alone, and when that doesn't happen, they forget that we have a full line of fitness programs, Shakeology, other nutrition supplements, whey protein, vitamins, all these different things, as well as apparel, fitness equipment. So let's all work, and I'm going to be talking about this and posting in the Team Relentless group. So make sure you check in, at least once a day to see what I'm talking about, because I don't want to go on too much longer about this. But I'm going to be making sure that I'm marketing other products that we have, and we can do this team-wide, which will really focus on unification. And doing something together. But go in and check the Shop All Products under teambeachbody.com and see all of the products we have out there, and start highlighting these things. Start talking about what the benefits are, and don't just do it once and think it's going to stick and that everybody in your friends list sees it. Make sure that you are, proactively doing this, and you're doing it consistently, and you're switching around, and letting your customers know and the people that are following you know that we're not just about challenge packs, and there's not pressure to get challenge packs. I kind of ran out of time because I talk a lot. I'm sorry. But I made a video, and so I'm going to post it in the event invite from tonight and in the team page about a conversation I had today about somebody who was mocking MLMs and really against it, and how I handle that situation. So maybe it will help you be prepared when you're in that situation, and so that you yourself can see how much your words affect other people. I've realized that in the last couple of months how much my words affect other people, and I've seen it firsthand from words that came off my lips and watching other people. And really, I want you to help you understand too as well that how some of the coaches on your team feel. So with that being said, if you can get into a health and wellness fair like I did, do it, because I made 25 new contacts today, and it was amazing. So I'm going to turn it over to Kim, and she's going to share some tidbits. She is number 18 ranked in the organization. So make sure you get your notepad out, and make sure that instead of shaking your head saying, wow, she's awesome, she's great, because, if you listen to her, she's awesome, and you'll fall in love with her. But instead of saying, oh, what an awesome person she is, take the notes, what she's telling you to do, and don't say that, oh, that's great for her because she's number 18, and, oh, that's great for the other successful people I'm watching. Go in and say, how can I implement this now? And this is one thing that Christina talked about what did she say? Success without fulfillment is failure. So make sure that you not only want success and see success and understand what success is, but that you're going out there and you're putting it into action so that you actually see something come from it, and so it gives you fulfillment, so that you really are everything that you set out to be whenever you became a coach. All right.
Can you hear me? Okay, so like Mindy had said, like currently this year I'm number 18. I don't know where I will be next week, but I always like to tell people like where I started, because now we have these programs like Success Starters and stuff like that, and like I have coaches that like hit Success Club 10 their first month, all that stuff. That was not me. I think it took me 5 months to hit Success Club. I really didn't know what a Success Club point was. I really never sold a challenge pack. I was petrified to talk about Shakeology. And then once I figured out, like, okay, this is where success is. Like, this is how I find success. Because if there's anything that Beachbody does, they're pretty cut and clear as to how you grow your business and how you become successful. And it's always all surrounded around Success Club. And I have coaches that sometimes get a little ticked about that. They're like, oh, it's so important, whatever. To me, Success Club is all about a challenge pack. And to me, a challenge pack is how we best help our clients. So I've never looked at it like, oh, it's just about points or Success Club. It's about people. And those points represent people. And when you go and you set your standard that you're going to hit Success Club, there's a few things that you can do so that you'll be a little more successful with it. And so the first thing I always tell a lot of my coaches is they really need to start with who they are as a person. Because there are, 260,000 of us. Now, not all of us work the business, but there's all different kinds of people. And if you don't know who you are and what your value is, no one else is going to know that either. And the thing is that you need to stand out on your newsfeed. You need to be somebody who is going to attract your people. You can't find your people if you don't know who you are. So the things I always try to tell my coaches to do is I need them to know their story, because we all have a story. And when we say that we don't have a story, we're kind of shortchanging ourselves, because we all have a reason why we got involved with Beachbody. We all have a reason as to why we got successful, why we got our results, that kind of thing. All of that plays such a critical role into your story. And what I've always told my coaches is, when you tell your story consistently, that's another thing. A lot of people might tell their story once to people and then they don't tell it again. Whereas I think it's better that you kind of breadcrumb. I know that's a term that Lindsay Madway uses. When you breadcrumb your story to people, you're kind of giving them a glimpse into who you are. And who knows which time that somebody will connect with you in your story. And sometimes when we hit everybody like with a whole story, people don't get it. Sometimes they feel like it's a little overwhelming or whatever. But if you keep kind of sharing with people what your story is, your people, the people who you connect with, are going to come out, and they're going to start talking to you. They're going to start asking you questions, that kind of thing. And when I tell you that you need to know who you are, you need to know, what is it that makes you tick? What are the issues that you have? What makes you interesting? I know Mindy and I both have been very honest with our, issues with depression. And we share that with people, and that makes people connect with us, because there are a lot of people who are suffering with the same kind of issues. And if they're going to get somebody to help somebody, they would rather somebody know what their issues are. So I always tell people, when you know all this information about yourself, why you buy, when you buy, what kind of problems you have, when you know those things, it allows you to connect with the people that you're going to work with in your challenge groups. And the reason why I tell people that you need to work with your people is because it's so much easier. It is way, way easier to work with people who are very much like you than not like you. And I know that there's lots of different ways, like the color code and things like that. But let's face it, it is much, much easier for cohesion of your team, of working with your customer, to work with people who are like you. And it's a lot more fun, too. So I always tell people that is their job. Their job is to look for their people. Because here's the thing. If you're just throwing stuff out there and you're trying to get everybody, you wind up with no one, and you feel like you kind of are talking to no one. And that's kind of lonely in this business. So I think when you start to hone in on who you are, what makes you valuable, what kind of things you have issues in, what kind of issues you love, you're going to see that natural thing happen where you start to have natural conversations with people. And so the one thing I wanted to talk about is, now you do that, when you talk about challenge groups, there's a before, there's a during, and then there's an after. And most people don't realize that there's a lot of work that goes into my before a challenge group. They kind of see that I'm like this high success club earner, and they just think that it happens. Like, I just put this post out that joined my challenge group and people join it, and that's not true. And we know that. We know that there is no overnight success. We know that people, are not just lucky that they're hitting Success Club 20 and things like that. So one of the things you need to do is get rid of the word challenge group, because it's an overused word. I actually think a lot of people don't understand it. I've had a lot of people tell me, like, well, does that mean I'm in competition with people? And that turns them off. A lot of people have bad impressions of other challenge groups. Like, they've reached out to maybe other coaches, and the coaches have said, well, you need to buy a challenge pack, else you're not in. And that's kind of turned them off. So I think when you get rid of that whole group, that whole name, challenge group, it's kind of better. Find out what word works for you. I've used online accountability group, support group, all kinds. I've used the word test group. I know technically you're not supposed to use that, but I've always used the word test group in terms of my organization's test group. So I always make sure I say it's the Fitspire Empire's test group, or I'll say like our inaugural, group for that program. So the next thing is I always make sure that I look my best right before I'm going to ask people to join my group, because there is no way in hell I'm asking somebody to join my group if I am not at the best and optimal level of health. Now, doesn't mean that you need a six-pack or whatever, but it means that you are working your butt off on your program or whatever you're doing, and you're sharing it with people, because your first job is to inspire those people. And so when they see your sweaty selfies, when they see you drinking your shake and stuff like that, you start to catch their eye. They start to wonder what you're doing, things like that. The next thing is you need to figure out what your game plan is. And so I see a lot of people that, they're like, oh, 21-day fix group, Insanity Max group, and they just kind of lead with the product. I think that's kind of a mistake, and I think you're selling yourself short. You really need to figure out what is about Insanity Max 30, or what is it about 21-day fix that is going to appeal to your people. And a lot of people, some people had problems selling Insanity Max 30. I had like one of my best months ever, and I went with the fact that people were going to modify. So I purposely went out and looked for modification people who wanted to do Insanity but maybe felt like they couldn't keep up with it and whatever. And because I knew that I'm going to be 44, there aren't a lot of 44-year-olds running out and doing Insanity. So that was going to be a hard sell for my people. So I knew though that people my age still want to push themselves. They still want to get great results. So I knew that that was the way I was going to go. And it was extremely, extremely successful group. The next thing, 21-day fix extreme. A lot of people were afraid of that word extreme. So what did I do? I kind of looked at the plan and I thought, this is carb cycling. This competition plan is nothing but carb cycling. So since that's such a popular term, I used it. And I said, look, what a great program this is. You have actually 2 programs in one. You have the opportunity to do the extreme plan, and then you have the opportunity to do carb cycling. And then I made videos about what carb cycling was and what it entailed and things like that. So that made people say, I'm interested. If I just kind of like slap the 21-day fix extreme like everybody and their brother on social media, I'm not standing out. Nobody's going to join my group because they could join 100 people's group. So you got to figure out how you're going to position yourself and how you're going to position your challenge group so that your people want to join it. Like this month, I am actually, since I went to the Tony Robbins thing and I talked about, he talked about a lot of change, I kind of was like, I really want to help people make lasting change. And so, while everybody else is kind of posting about like, oh, join my bikini challenge group and bikini whatever, I really didn't want to do that. I really wanted to do a group where it's going to be based on, reducing their stress. It's going to be based on talking about self-limiting beliefs. And then, obviously the nutrition and the workout. So if you can make yourself unique, if you can make yourself stand out, that's always going to help you. And that's always before you even ask people to be in your challenge group. When you start leaving these hints like this, when you're ready to like put your invitation out to invite people, you've already had them where they're like, you've been talking about that challenge. I've been watching you talk about that carb cycling. What is that? And, that's how you get people naturally interested in wanting to do your challenge group. So those are the things I do before. And also, have a date. A lot of people don't put a date on their challenge group, which is kind of crazy because, if you're just telling people that, hey, join my challenge group and there's not a date, I mean, you don't have to follow that date, meaning you can still take people in after that date, but you need a start time because a lot of my follow-ups are, oh my God, Sue, I'm just checking my list and, I wrote you down that you want to be a part of my group, but I don't see you, so I'm not sure, so just let me know, it's no big deal, I don't want to leave you out. And so that's a message where I can follow up. People don't feel pressured. They feel like I thought of them because, like, oh, she wants to make sure she doesn't leave me out of her group. You know what I mean? Rather than, hey, did you buy it? You know what I mean? So that's all the stuff I do before. So now during, you have your people. A challenge group is, to me, a growing ground for coaches. That's really what it is to me. And that's where I create a culture that my coaches are going to be used to. I create bonds that they know that they're going to be working with women. Now, I use all women challenge groups. Some people might think that's unfair that I don't work with men, but again, if I'm going to work with my people, then my people are women. And most 40-year-old women are not going to post pictures of themselves in a sports bra and a pant and shorts with men in there. So I would rather not get the two men maybe that would be in my group so that I can create an intimate atmosphere. So what I do is when I set up the group beforehand, anybody gets in there, and I set it up with a lot of files. And what my files are is I have a Shakeology file, which is what exactly Shakeology is, why it's beneficial for them to drink with videos. I also talk about troubleshooting Shakeology because a lot of people have difficulty in the beginning with Shakeology. Their stomach hurts or they feel bloated or, they don't feel like it's working after 2 days. So when I have that in there, it kind of prepares them. And it prepares them to let them know that they really need to commit to 30 days of Shakeology, that it's important. That's been working very well. The next thing is I make the rules of the group. And I think rules are really important. And it was something Shailene Johnson taught me. And it was all about that people need to own that they're in there, that they have a responsibility to be posting, that they have a responsibility for their own actions, meaning this is not, oh, poor me, like, oh, nothing's working, this scale doesn't work. Like, people in my challenge group are not allowed to write that crap. And I will kind of remind them, and I will say to them, hey, are you following the rules of the group, with like a smiley face? And people like snap out of it, because the worst thing you want is people who feel sorry for themselves in your challenge group, because that will eat your challenge group like a cancer. Just like not posting will eat your challenge group up like a cancer. So I always actually make people agree. They have to write that they agree to those rules when they post in there. The next thing I have in my files are meal plans. I love meal plans. That's kind of what I'm great at. So I have people have access right there to get started right with some meal plans that I have made on different levels. And then I also keep a file on the results. So I keep files of people's how they went through the program, their before and after, so that people, when they join the group, they can be like, oh, look at this. Wow, that's really inspiring that girl, like you get them primed up. I always make people introduce each other. So I always kind of like, before the challenge group actually starts, I make them introduce each other, introduce themselves, but I make them do it in a non-threatening way. So like what I'll say is, hey, introduce yourself to the group, where you're from, and then like, what are 2 silly things about you that nobody would know? That sounds a lot better than tell me why you're fat, or tell me why like you can't lose weight, or things like that, because people aren't going to be showing you who they are intimately until they feel comfortable. So sometimes sharing those little silly things helps people kind of bond and things like that. So the next thing is my challenge groups are kind of like a self-help group. I think most people don't realize that when they join it. I know a lot of people run their challenge groups where like people put their sweaty selfie and that's it, and I did my workout and I drank my shake. I don't do that. I actually, every morning I'm in there with some personal development for them to think about and them to post on, because I think that that's the core of how we change ourselves, is through self-development. So I really feel like that's important in my challenge group. So the last thing is the after, right? So I never lose track of my people. I see a lot of people like run a challenge group and then they close it down, and then those people go crazy, like they're just lost. I don't do that. I run a challenge group, and then I put them into a larger challenge group once they're done, or they can have the option of buying a new program and then joining my new challenge group. So I think that's always good to retain your customers, to do that, because it's really hard for me. I'm not good at like emails and stuff like that. I probably should be. But to me, like the heart of me is my challenge groups. So people like to stay with me in those challenge groups. And that way they get to see me every day. I post in there and help them out that way. And then the next thing is that helps me get them to become coaches. So they're either going to become a discount coach by buying a new program, or they love Shakeology and they want to save on it. So I'd say 50% of my coaches are discount coaches. And then the other people are people who got results. And, so I will start asking them, hey, is anybody asking you about what's going on? That kind of stuff. And, so you kind of put that in their ear, and then they start to become coaches. And then I always invite them from my challenge group to a coaching opportunity call. So they'll be able to sit on that and be able to hear what coaching is about. And it's always non-threatening, like, hey, we're doing this call. And they get to hear that kind of stuff. And then the last part is, what did I want to say? The after conversion. Oh, the after conversion. So then you get those people that become coaches. And here's the greatest thing when they come through your challenge group. They already know what a challenge group is. They have one to use. So a lot of my coaches do like an internship with me, meaning that they don't need to create their own challenge groups. They have mine. So they put their people in. And the fact that I put those files in there and stuff like that kind of sets my coaches up for success, because they have that information that they can share with their customers. And last but not least, I think challenge groups build bonds between people. Like I know that the coaches in my groups, like they already have their bond when they go from a challenge group to become a coach, because they kind of knew each other in the challenge group. So then they start to do this new thing as coaching. And then they also see value in the challenge pack, because that's how they got success. So hopefully those tips are helpful.
Yes. I was actually getting texts from people saying that I was trying to take notes, and people were texting me like, I love this call. That really put things into perspective, because, I think that we tell a lot of coaches in the beginning about, after under sales and marketing, the challenge group guides, and that's there just as something to get started. But I think that this information would really change a lot for me too, because I really work on my big thing is building people's wings so that they have that confidence there. So what you were saying basically is that you're helping people, self-help is a self-help group, and they don't even realize it until they get in there. But I liked what you said about the file sections about this, and because what I do is I put in the meal plans and the introduce yourself, and I do try to make it where it's not something where that puts them on a spot, share what makes you smile or makes you happy. But I like the silly things and just keep it very short so it doesn't put them on the spot. But I also like the rules of the group, and this is something that we go back on all the time on any training I've ever been in, is that you create the culture when it comes to setting business hours. I hear this all the time, and I have the same thing. Well, how do you get coaches not to be blowing up your phone where you're, up to them and you're neglecting your family? And there's one thing that corporate says, and the Franklin Covey seminar I went through was, you set the hours. You live by them, and people will follow them. If you don't follow them, they won't follow them. And the same thing with the group is I never thought about having the rules that never even, and I don't know if you got that from the Chalene Johnson Confidence Club thing, because I haven't gotten that far into it. That's on my list. But that's really great, is that people, when you know it, go into it. And that was one thing that I had told Ryan the other day, similar, was about this customer lead program changing. I'm like, I need to diffuse this now so that I go in and tell people how I expect them to respond in my group, because it's the same thing like you said. It would be a cancer. One person bashes customer service, coach relations, a rule, then it just goes rampant, and I've tried to nip the negativity in the group. So I think if you have rules set, and like I said about how I feel about the customer lead program, this is the way it is. It's easier to have the rules set and have expectations of it, and go back and remind people, hey, check the file sections of the rules, check the call that I did, instead of seeing it happen and then trying to go to them and calling them out per se. But if you've already laid out the groundwork, that helps. That's something I'm going to be implementing. And I also love that setting them up for success with Shakeology so that they know what to get into, because I think a lot of people always tell me, well, the coaching and you know, PIO and all these things, you said that it wasn't going to be easy, but it would be worth it. The same thing is, I think with Shakeology, you can tell people that not everybody falls in love with it and has great results right out the bat like I did. So this is what to expect, here's to go into it. So basically, you're giving them every way to set them up for success. And I really, the one thing that I really you know, want to highlight to everybody is the results thing, is setting them up there, because I think, like Kim says about your story, is you post it once, you may post, you know, somebody may have seen Jeremy Jones 150-pound weight loss or been on my call, and you assume everybody knew the results, but not everybody sees it. So if you have that in there as a reminder, that's a huge part to this. So I really appreciate you sharing this, and I wanted to share the last thing about the challenge groups with my team is that when Louise and I were visiting Melissa in California last week, we were talking about this. And in the beginning, if you're a coach and you don't have a lot of upline support, if you're another coach outside of here, or if you weren't aware, you know, certain things, a lot of the coaches just follow the challenge group guides because it's already there, and those are great, but they're very generic. And then if you have a group that moves on, it's the same people, you don't want to use the same content. So I, as a 3-year-old coach, and Melissa is a 2-year-old coach, and Louise, you know, we have a pretty good amount of knowledge and a way to understand how to run our challenge groups. So what I suggested, and what 3 of us are going to be doing, and I welcome everybody in the team, is to go through and do your research. I know that Kim reads lots of books about nutrition, so she is very intelligent because she is making this a career. She wants to succeed because she wants to help. So with that, do research, listen to the audience that you have, listen to the people in your challenge group, do research on how to help them with their thing. Like, my people have a hard time planning ahead and cooking. So I do lots of videos about cooking bulk and preparing. So listen to your people and then set up challenge groups. So what Melissa and Louise and I are doing is we're setting up documents in Evernote of every day what we're posting in our challenge group. So it's new content. At the end of this month are we in March? Yeah, in March, we're switching. So like my challenge group guide that I made with my new content that maybe things that Melissa, because a lot of us talk about what our problems are or what our expertise is, and there's other things that can other people are lacking in, and they could definitely do some, you know, it would be beneficial to them. So we're switching. So the end of March, I'm going to give one to Melissa. Melissa will give hers to Louise, and then another month later we'll switch. So this actually takes the pressure off of you a little bit, that you don't have to write 12 months worth of, you know, challenge group guide, but you could switch. And this is a way to build team unity and to come up with ideas each other. So if you are a coach on this and you want to do that, I suggest that you come up with new material and you do that. And if you don't want to do that every month, you can participate in the rotation. And if you're a new coach and don't know what to do, you can have our guides too. Make sure that you're not just copying and pasting stuff from Louise or Melissa and I, or, you know, Kim graciously shares a lot of stuff with Diesel Nation Diamond coaches, and I pass a lot down to you. But make sure that you're not just copying and pasting it, that you're actually personalizing it and you're actually reading it so that you become educated as well. And this is one thing that I think Bob Lucido said on the call last night, is that one of the things he thinks why teachers do so well as coaches, which falls into, she was a teacher, is that they set up their year. They knew what their curriculum was going to be. They knew to think and plan in advance. So let's start thinking like teachers, because we're teachers. We are leaders, and we are teaching people, and we're teaching our team, and we're teaching our challengers, and we want to duplicate this. And challenge groups are not things that we just go in, copy and paste, and ta-da, lead. Because if you do, you're not going to get success stories out of it. You're not going to get people who trust you. You're going to get people who have a program, have a half a bag of Shakeology, and have no results. And they are going to feel let down. They're going to feel discouraged, and it's going to be one more notch on their failure belt. So make sure that, if anything, your challenge groups are the one that you put your heart and soul into, because these people gave you their trust. So anyways, next week we have on the call, I can't remember. What is the date? Hold on. I'm sorry, people. I'm trying to remember who's on, because I have the call set up for weeks and weeks and weeks. I think next week's Becky. Oh, no. Greg Plaskett is next week. on the call. He is another one that is a lot like Bob Lucido and Keith Callahan. Definitely a powerhouse, really great with volume, and he had like I think 5 million ATV last year or something. That's some crazy number, and he's only been a coach for about as long as I have. So he's going to be sharing with us that, and then the next one on the March 25th is going to be 3 mommies that are on Diesel Nation or Team Relentless that work their business throughout their pregnancy and raising multiple children. And I see this from a lot of people that how do I balance out being a parent, or how am I going to make this work being pregnant? And so if you have anybody on your team, or if you're anybody out from outside of our team, you are more than welcome to invite them on. I hope that the information that you learn is helpful. This is there not for me, but for all of you. And I thank you, Kim. You did amazing as usual, and I will see you in Cancun.
Yay! Good night.